So there are only a few lenses that I've used over the years that are worthy enough to stick around in my kit, and there are even fewer that I would consider to be my desert island lenses that I would keep with me if I had to sell everything else. And those lenses are the Sigma 24-70 f2.8, the Sirui 50mm anamorphic, and the Canon EF 85-1.4. Those are the three lenses that if I had to sell everything else, that I would keep. Let me tell you why. Any of you who have been in the filmmaking or photography world for more than a couple years, you've probably come to understand that honestly, lenses matter more than the camera does at times. Most of the times that's the case. You can take a cheap camera with a nice lens and you'll probably get a better result than a nice camera with a cheap lens. That's just the way it works. The glass is so important. And over the years, the more you shoot and the more you do, you kind of come across your favorites and ones that you would use all the time and the ones that you kind of keep going for in the bag and grabbing for, and you figure out the ones that you kind of leave on the shelf. And I have very specific and very different reasons why each of these lenses are my favorite. First, let me start with the Sirui 50mm anamorphic. This lens that I'm shooting on right now, actually with this talking head, has become one of my favorites over the years, and I really do plan to buy more of the Sirui line because I just think they're phenomenal for the price. I'm a film nut. I love anamorphic. It's one of my favorite looks, and I love being able to afford an anamorphic lens that actually doesn't suck. These lenses are really good for the money. I absolutely love the image that comes off of these lenses. Sometimes they're a little too tack sharp for my taste, but you can always soften that in post or with filters and different things. I'd rather have more sharpness in the lens than not enough because honestly, it looks better and it's easier to take away sharpness than it is to add it in post. So it's not really a complaint for me. That's something to keep in mind. These lenses are great. They have great character. They're very clean anamorphics. They don't have a ton of distortion or weird stuff going on. So they're not super characterized. They're not super, you know, going for a certain look. They're just going for solid all around anamorphic glass and at a really competitive price point. They cover full frame cameras. So using this with the Canon R6 Mark II that I'm using right now, it looks great. It performs great with that. I even use it on the Super 35 sensor on the C70. Also have no complaints there. It's been a great lens. There's been many videos on this channel that you guys have seen. You may not even realize were shot with this lens. Some of them I say that it was, but I've shot with this thing a ton over the last year and I've just been blown away by the quality for the price. And they're just honestly fun. They inspire creativity. They make me want to go shoot things because of the image that I see on my camera when I'm shooting with them. They're just great, and I really cannot recommend them enough. If you want a lens that can inspire your creativity and get you back into the craft, get you back into telling stories and motivated to tell stories and capture images, this lens is what's done it for me. And I remember from the day I got it back in May of last year, so May 2022 to now, I've created so much stuff with them just because of these lenses motivating me to get out there and do that. So I'm a huge fan. So my next lens on my list is the Canon 85 f1.4 image stabilized version, the EF mount, the L series, the classic, the OG. I absolutely love this lens. I've had a lot of 85s over the years, and I've always loved the focal length, but struggled to actually use them, find ways to use them. And as I've grown and gotten better as a filmmaker, photographer, I've gotten more in love with the 85 focal length. I haven't had one for a long time. I actually have the old school EF 85-1.8, the USM model, and it's great, but it's really hard to shoot handheld video with that lens because of the no stabilization, especially on a camera like the C70 when you don't have IBIS built in or anything like that. And so the 85-1.4 with the IS in it is a great addition to my kit. I actually used one recently. My friend Relly got one from his job, let me borrow it for a gig, and it was great. I loved it. Loved it on the C70, especially using the speed booster. It's just a money combo, and I just love the unique nature of an 85 focal length. Now, I'll be honest, shooting video, this lens will make you work for good shots. It makes you rethink how you shoot because most of the stuff we shoot these days are like 50 millimeter, maybe 70 millimeters, but most time we're shooting wider than that as filmmakers. And so sometimes it's easy to get caught up in that wide world and getting close to your subject. But with the 85, it makes you think because you have to take a step back and you have to create space and you have to create composition while further away from your subject. And I just think it's a unique look. I love the compression. I love the bokeh in the background on this lens. It's just buttery smooth. Everything about this lens is beautiful. It's just been a joy to use so far. And that's why it's on my list, because I just think you always need something unique in a lens that's really fast. And this is the fastest lens on my list. You notice I have a T29 with the Sirui Anamorphic. The Sigma is a f2.8. So this is an f1.4. It's the only really, really fast lens on my list. And don't get me wrong, it was a hard choice to pick between the 50-1.4 and the 85-1.4, but I decided to go with the 85 because I just feel if I was on an island and I could never use a lens again, that I would want my 85. And so that's why it's on this list. And last but not least on my list is the Sigma 24-70 f2.8. This is also more of a recent purchase. I've always been, anybody that knows me, I've been kind of a prime lens nut. I didn't like zoom lenses. I liked fast apertures. If it was higher than f2, I didn't want it. That was kind of like my MO for a long time. And I've grown to really love the Sigma 24-70 because I feel like it pushes me to not always rely on just blowing out the background and just letting that be the shot. And there's really not much creativity in that. So I've learned to use this lens and I've come to really love it. It's incredibly sharp. I love the colors from it. It's very, very well made. It's high quality. It also has image stabilization in it. So again, another great handheld lens. I love to shoot handheld. It's my favorite way to shoot, and it's been great for that. You guys have been seeing this lens over the last few weeks in my videos on the channel. I've used it a ton. I'll flash some stuff here on the screen. It's such a versatile lens with that 24-70 focal length range. 24 is one of my favorite focal lengths in general. I have a 24-1.4 from Sigma. You guys know I use that lens a lot as my talking head stuff, and I absolutely love that. And in my office, when I don't have a lot of depth, that's when that 1.4 is nice. But if I had to take any lens with me and I had to get rid of all the other ones, I would take the 24-70 just because of its versatility. And again, having 50mm covered, having 35mm covered, having 24mm covered, having 70mm, all in one lens is valuable, and it kind of closes the gap between my anamorphic and my 85. And as you guys probably know if you've watched this channel, but if you don't know, I shoot with the C70, which is my main camera, and then I have an R6 Mark II and an R6 Mark I that I use for like YouTube stuff and photos and all that good stuff. And I make sure that all of these lenses work across all of my cameras because I want to be able to take any camera and any lens at any time and create something great with it and be able to use it and trust it and know that it's going to perform. And that's why I feel like I picked these lenses, because I have something with character like the anamorphic, I have something that's more practical like the 24-70, and then I have something that's just that longer focal length with that compression in the 85. That's my thought process. I'm very run and gun. I like shooting handheld, and these lenses just lend themselves to that kind of environment. So I tried to cover all of my bases here, and all of these lenses work great on the Canon ecosystem. All of them are EF except for the anamorphic. It is an RF mount, but the rest are EF. So I'm still buying EF lenses in 2023. I don't see any reason to slow down quite yet on EF lenses because of the speed booster for the C70 and the adapters for the R series cameras from Canon. There's really no reason to stop buying these lenses. In my opinion, they still perform great. I'm not saying the RF lenses are bad. They're probably better, and they are some of the best lenses on the market, but man, are they expensive. I just could not drop $2,000 on a 24-70. It's just a no-brainer for me right now. At some point you hit diminishing returns. Is it, $1,000 better? Probably not. Is it $300 better? Maybe. So that's kind of what we're dealing with some of these choices. And so you may be surprised that I'm choosing all EF glass, but I also like to shoot full frame on the C70, and the speed booster gets me really close to that. So there's a lot of thought behind it, a lot of intentionality behind these choices. And overall, I just love the images off of these cameras. But as always, thank you so much for watching today's video. I appreciate each and every one of you stopping in and letting me ramble for a few minutes. Again, if you like what you see and you like what you hear on the channel, hit that subscribe button. A lot more filmmaking content coming very soon. I got some big projects in the works. Can't wait to share them with you. You will be seeing them here. It's gonna be kind of a shift in the channel. Nothing crazy. I'm not gonna go away from these gear reviews and letting you know behind the scenes of my process, but there is gonna be some more creative endeavors posted here. So I hope you're down for that. I got some ideas. I'm ready to create. I'm ready to start pumping out stuff. So again, be on the lookout for that. Hit that subscribe button. If any of this sounds interesting to you, I'll catch you in the next one.